where there's trouble in the boxing ring. Ladies and gentlemen, Olympic medal-winning sensation Lovlina Borgohain, talented boxer from Assam, has tweeted not so long ago, and she's put out a very, very humble request. She's saying this with folded hands. This is her note. She's saying, "आज मैं बड़े दुख के साथ कहती हूँ कि मेरे साथ बहुत harassment हो रही है." She is alleging harassment, saying हर बार मेरे कोचेस जिन्होंने मुझे ओलंपिक्स में मेडल लाने में मदद की, उन्हें बार बार हटा के मेरी ट्रेनिंग प्रोसेस और कंपटीशन में हमेशा हैरेसमेंट करते हैं. She is once again saying that she is not getting to train with the coaches who turned her or helped her win a medal at the Olympic stage. इनमें से एक कोच संध्या गुरुंग जी द्रोणाचार्य अवार्डी भी हैं. मेरे दोनों कोचेस को कैंप में भी ट्रेनिंग के लिए 1000 बार हाथ जोड़ने के बाद बहुत लेट इंक्लूड किया जाता है. आई हैव टू रिपीटेडली बेग एंड प्लीड फॉर गेटिंग माय कोचेस इनटू द कैंप. मुझसे इससे ट्रेनिंग में बहुत परेशानियां उठानी पड़ती हैं और मेंटल हैरेसमेंट तो होती ही है. अभी मेरे कोच संध्या गुरुंग जी कॉमनवेल्थ विलेज के बाहर हैं, उन्हें एंट्री नहीं मिल रही है और मेरा ट्रेनिंग प्रोसेस गेम्स के ठीक 8 दिन पहले रुक गया है. 8 days before the Commonwealth Games, my training process has come to a halt, is what Lovlina Borgohain is saying. मेरे दूसरे कोच को भी इंडिया वापस भेज दिया गया है. My other coach has also been sent back to India, is what she is turning around and saying. Lovlina Borgohain very, very upset with what has happened. She is saying, मैंने इतनी रिक्वेस्ट करने के बाद भी ये हुआ है. इससे मुझे बहुत मेंटल हैरेसमेंट हुआ. मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि मैं गेम में कैसे फोकस करूं. इसके चलते मेरा लास्ट वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप भी खराब हुआ. I could not perform well even at the last world championships because of this entire politics around my coaches. और इस पॉलिटिक्स के चलते मैं अपना कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स खराब नहीं करना चाहती हूं. आई डोंट वांट टू स्पॉइल माय कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स आइदर. आशा करती हूं कि मैं मेरे देश के लिए इस पॉलिटिक्स को तोड़कर मेडल ला पाऊं. जय हिंद. Just about half an hour to 40 minutes ago, she has put out this tweet and this appeal where she is turning around and saying, allow me my coaches, allow me those who have helped me train and also win an Olympic medal. Why should this politics be? She has raised this issue of politics. Shivani is now with us. Shivani, clearly comes as a big surprise that she's saying that she faced this even with the World Championships. Yeah.
Yes, you know, Anand, this is a very peculiar issue that Indian athletes face, and as Lovlina Borgohain's case is suggesting, does not happen only with, you know, athletes who are yet to make big. Even athletes who've made it big, several prominent, you know, world medal winning wrestlers, for example, boxers, others, have often complained in the past that the coaches that they want, which are their personal coaches, the coaches they have a history with, are not often allowed. Now, of course, there's a process involved in which the federation is involved, the SAI is involved, the Indian Olympic Association is involved. But there are often these skirmishes that happen, even with our top athletes who are, you know, winning medals, have proved themselves and are big medal hopes, that somehow there's always a skirmish on exactly who will be part of their camp or of the delegation or the, you know, delegation that goes to world events. And this is something that happens repeatedly. I think the Indian Association and SAI and others will have to put their heads together and figure a way out, because when athletes speak out like this and put out an emotional appeal, this has happened in the past, it doesn't look good on the officials.
True. And in this case also, those who are Olympic medals or top scheme athletes, they get a choice of their coach. Yeah. They train with certain coaches who travel with them, and even though the entire entourage is pruned, their coaching staff is already allowed. So in this case, somebody like a Sandhya Gurung who's a Dronacharya awardee, it should not be a case that
you know, there are several athletes who have Dronacharya awardees who have proved themselves. You know, these are awardees who have, you know, built them up when they were very young. They spotted those talents when they were very young. So there is no denying that an athlete always feels more comfortable with a coach or a trainer. For example, there's been many a battle on physical trainers. On just who is their, you know, physiotherapist or a physical trainer. Now, I wouldn't say that every time the athlete is right. Sometimes, you know, there are tantrums being thrown as well. But this is still not something, not an advertisement that the government and the SAI and the, you know, association would want when they are doing a good job in, you know, helping the athletes train, then why not give them the comfort of having somebody they know? Yes, they have employed their own coaches, staff, etc. as well, but there has to be a middle ground.
Well, in this case, in Lovlina's case, she's not somebody who's a cribber.
Yeah.
You know, it comes as a surprise because she's somebody who's
very modest, very humble.
Yeah, and she's come through fighting all odds, and she's come because she was spotted. She wanted to be an MMA artist, and from there she's become a boxer, and she's gone ahead, and she's got huge potential. The state government, Assam, has said that we'll back you, we'll fund whatever you want, you tell us what you need. The government has said we'll back you, we'll give you whatever you need.
Yeah.
And here in her post, what she's turning around and saying, I'll stand here, what she's turning around and saying is that ye training ka harassment hoti hai, and they're saying that this is not, and I have requested 1000 बार हाथ जोड़ने के बाद बहुत late include किया गया is what she's saying even in the camp.
Yeah.
In terms of the build up to the this one, and now she's turning around and saying मेरे coach को Commonwealth Village के बाहर उन्हें entry नहीं मिल रही है.
Yeah, so this clearly looks like an episode where the coach that she's talking about was not part of the accredited staff, right? That's how you don't get entry into the Games Village. But why should that be the case in the first place? You know, when you are at that level, Anand, you've interacted with so many world athletes. You do want the comfort of having your own team. Yes, it is not always possible. The association and SAI employs certain coaches, which is for the benefit of all athletes, not just the top athlete. And those, coaches or physiotherapists, etc., trainers, then look after everybody. So sometimes the criticism is that some of the top athletes want their own entourage. Sometimes in these games, it's not always possible. But I think we'll have to wait for an explanation from the Boxing Federation as to what has gone wrong here. This particular issue crops up so many times that it has become a problem.
Yeah, but with your medal hopefuls, there was under the top scheme itself, they had turned around and said that we will provide you what you want.
Yeah,
you
can pick and choose.
Pick and choose.
But you know, in these cases, when it's a Commonwealth Games, Asian Games, there's a limited entourage that is allowed. So you have to think about the entire boxing contingent and not just one athlete. But even in such cases, for example, Olympics and others, there have been exceptions that have been made. There have been adjustments that have been made to allow certain athletes their preferred coaches.
Yeah, Olympic medalist, somebody who's a sure shot medal chance, and somebody who you are wanting to groom for the next one, which is
doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good, and the other aspect is that at the end of the day, if she does not do well, it will be blamed on her. None of us, as the viewers, are going to say, oh, she was going through all of this, nobody realizes.
You know, that's why there should be a mechanism where obviously the athlete has a mechanism to, when an assessment is done on your performance. Now, she's a, top athlete. She will have to also explain as to, what went wrong. So I think for athletes, sometimes it becomes a painful exercise where they have to say that, I couldn't do well because this wasn't provided to me. Because sports is so difficult to ascertain as to what went wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
You cannot really go through a bout and say, oh, this must have been the reason. You can't say that. It's very difficult to pinpoint.
And we've seen in the past also that some coaches who worked with athletes know how to push an athlete or how to make an athlete in the crunch moments and what kind of advice to give. And the moment you change somebody who's just come in as a generalist who's looking at everybody, that person may look at your bout and look at your this very, very differently. And it can change. It can be the difference between a comeback or a win into a loss.